Hey everybody, welcome back. Happy early Thanksgiving. It's coming up another 5 days. And with Thanksgiving coming up, I wanted to give a tip on turkey. Now, turkey, even if it's cooked to perfection, it could still be dry. And that's why a lot of people, including myself, aren't really a big fan of turkey because of that dryness. I can't believe when I was a kid, I didn't like gravy for some reason. I used to eat it with no gravy. Like, oh my God, I could never do that now. Now I drown it in gravy, but it's still, once the gravy, dries up and you're chewing it, you still get some of that dryness at the end. It's kind of hard to go down my throat. And I think for that very reason, that's why there's so many better, in my opinion, there's so many better meats out there, and I think there's a reason that most people only have turkey once or twice a year. I mean, I love the flavor of it, but yeah, I've never been a fan of the dryness. Like I said, even if you cook it to perfection, it still tends to be a problem. It tends to be even more dry because there's three common mistakes that people make. Now, a lot of people are afraid of salmonella, so for that simple reason, a lot of people naturally like overcook it, cook the snot out of it. It's supposed to be, and only make sure you have a meat thermometer. Take the temperature in the thickest part of the thigh, and it's supposed to be 165 to 170, no higher. Preferably don't go any higher than 165, 170. You're good, but if you go above 170, you're just asking for dryness. Now, the serving temperature for turkey is 185 once it's rested. You'll notice when you're cooking any roast or recipe, we'll say to let it rest for like 15, 20 minutes, tent it with foil to keep it warm. And yeah, turkey you're supposed to some people let rest for like an hour. And what happens is the temperature, it's called carryover cooking, the temperature still rises. So if you got to 165, you let it sit for half an hour, it's going to continue to rise in temperature. So I think the temperature it probably gets up to is 185, but you don't want to cook it to 185 in the oven because if you cook it to 185 in the oven, and it's going to continue to go up to over 200 degrees, and you're just asking for that shoe leather. So you do not want that. That's the most common mistake I think a lot of people make when cooking chicken and turkey, poultry. It is that they're just afraid of salmonella, so they overcook the hell out of it, and it's already dry at 165. It tends to be drier when it's not properly cooked, overcooked. Another reason is people don't buy fresh turkeys; you buy frozen, and frozen. Some people cook it from a frozen state, partially frozen, and they're running hot water over it to defrost it. So I think that's another thing too. When you're doing that, you're losing juices, and it takes longer to cook in that respect. Fresh turkey will cook a lot faster, so you retain more juices that way. And the third thing is people they just don't defrost properly. They buy frozen turkey and they let it sit in the sink with water, hot water, and like you said, that just you're just putting those juices that you want in that turkey, you're just kind of putting those juices down the drain. So those are the three most common mistakes I think people make when preparing turkey that cause it to be even more dry than it already is. Now there's these other methods I want to go over to possibly counteract that, and I haven't tried any of these, but next time I cook the turkey, I want to try it. All these methods. Mom's making the turkey this year. I'm making the ham. We have ham and turkey because again, turkey's not really my favorite. There's so many better meats out there: ham, barbecued ribs, steak, chicken. Even I want to try capon. Never tried capon, but capon supposedly has a richer flavor and more. Yeah, it's more bold and more moist. Even chicken is, and I love chicken. Chicken's good when it's even roasted chicken, you can overcook it a little bit. It'll still be pretty moist, but not with turkey. No, that's the reason it is healthy. It's got very little fat, turkey, but because of that, it doesn't have as much moisture in it because of the little amount of fat. So, go over some ways to possibly counteract the problem with dryness. Number one is to deep fry it. I've never had a deep fried turkey. I do know a lot of people that said after having it, they would never eat turkey another way. Now, one woman I talked to, she said, it was awesome for turkey, but overall, it wasn't really awesome, even deep frying it. She still complained it was a little bit dry. So she said, yeah, for turkey, it was awesome, but in general, on average, it really wasn't awesome. Like she said the same thing I said, like there's so many better meats out there that she'd rather have, and there's a reason that we only have turkey once a year. But yeah, a lot of people said it definitely cuts the cooking time like in half at least, if not more. Like sometimes people say that turkey used to take them like 5 or 6 hours. They could get done in a deep fryer in 2 hours. So imagine you retain a lot more juices that way. That's number one. Number two is rotisserie. Now I do know a chicken. Rotisserie is the best way to cook chicken. I'd love to see how rotisserie turkey would taste. And the third method is brining or marinating. Marinating would be like the wet brine, and seasoning would be like a dry brine. I imagine that would help. Some people have said that they just marinate it in salt water overnight, and that was enough to make it a little more moist, but I'd probably kick it up a notch more than that. Use more flavor, more seasoning, probably butter, oil instead of just salt water. Another thing you could do is, I didn't mention that already, to use a fresh turkey instead of a dry frozen turkey. You could cook smaller turkeys. One of my friends, because you retain more juices, doesn't take as long. One of my friends years ago, she had like a 27, 28 pound turkey. She would have been better off cooking, 2 14-pound turkeys, because the smaller the turkey, it cooks faster, you retain more juices. I mean, she said this turkey was so huge, it was like 27, 28 pounds. She could barely fit in her fridge, barely fit in her oven. She would have been better off just doing like 2, 14 or 15-pound turkeys. One thing my uncle did one year, and this is something that I can definitely relate to with the bread, because I'm a white meat person. He just cooked, I think, a whole turkey, and then I just like the breast. I like dark meat and chicken, but I'm not a fan of dark meat on turkey. It's kind of weird, kind of different. I mean, it's still healthier than the leanest red meat like filet mignon. But what he did was he didn't cook 2 whole turkeys. He cooked 1 whole turkey, and then he just did like a separate, like individual breast. And I'm a fan of white meat, the breast meat, and that I do have to say it was a little dry, but that was the most moist turkey I ever had in my life. And because I think that once the breast was done, again the thighs take the longest to cook, so I think once the breast was done, it cooked a lot fat. He just pulled it out, and that's a big problem with the whole turkey is the thighs take the longest to cook. So the breast is done, the thighs are still raw or undercooked, they're bloody. So like by the time the thighs get cooked all the way through, the breast is overcooked. So that's a common problem. And one way to counteract that, my friend Cindy, she said it was by accident. What she did was she cooked the turkey. A lot of recipes will say to have it breast side up, skin side up, but I don't think that's the best way. I want to try cooking it upside down. And my friend Cindy did it by accident. She said she put it flipped over accidentally. She put it in the oven, skin side up, breast side up, and it flipped over. But she said it was the best turkey she ever had in her life. And I think kind of like rotisserie, I think it might have self-basted itself. I read about that a little bit, and that it makes it more moist because the thighs like drip onto the breast, and the thighs cook even more evenly with the breast. You don't have the problem with the breast being overcooked. So that definitely sounds like something I want to try. And another thing you could do is I do put melted butter on the breast, on the skin, and I put on salt and pepper, some thyme, some poultry seasoning. Now it definitely adds flavor and moisture, and that golden brown. The butter definitely adds that golden brown color to the skin, flavor, moisture. But I wonder if it really, it definitely makes the skin taste better if you eat the skin, gives it good color. But I wonder if a lot of people think that it doesn't really do anything to actual breast meat, the turkey meat, and probably because it just still seems like my turkey ends up, it's not any more moist, even though I've been doing that to the breast meat for skin for several years. Somebody mentioned something about putting like a softened, I might try that too, somebody mentions taking like softened butter, putting that underneath the skin, or putting like little slices of butter underneath the skin, not melting. And I might try putting some herb. They said you could also, instead of regular butter, you can make like a compound herb butter, or maybe just put the butter underneath there and rub some seasoning underneath there too, see how that turns out. So that's all I have. Maybe some of you might want to try some of these methods for your Thanksgiving turkey. Let me know how it turns out. I definitely got a lot of work to do. I want to try all these methods and see what the pros and cons are, see if there's any difference, see if it turns out better or not. So everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Good luck with your turkeys. And I'll talk to you all real soon with another great video. Have a great holiday, everybody. Talk to you all real soon. Bye.